Hello, and welcome to the Metaverse and the Future of Work. My name is Christopher Flores, and I will be your guide as we explore how the Metaverse will transform how we operate. In this episode, we'll be talking about one of the most critical activities of any company, talent acquisition. So how will the Metaverse impact your quest to find the best talent? Your ability to win the battle for talent will be defined by how your company embodies the Metaverse principles of community, co-creation, and decentralization. Let's see how. In episode 2, I talked about how the Metaverse will require companies to embrace digital transformation. As a reminder, digital transformation is about how the digitalization of the world is forcing businesses to transform how they work. This means the companies will have to shift from a top-down, bureaucratic way of working to one that is more human, adaptive, and empowering. Of course, that all sounds nice, but what does this really mean? Once again, it comes back to the 3 principles that define the Metaverse: decentralization, co-creation, and community. When we put this into a talent framework, then the roles within a company start to change. Talent acquisition is no longer owned by HR. Instead, they are guides and facilitators. In practice, this means that talent acquisition is decentralized and the ownership is with the team that needs to hire. It is up to them to define, as a community, what additional skills and competencies they need, and then they need to co-create how they will assess applicants and what to prioritize. The role of HR will be to define the systems and tools to help communities attract and assess talent, map their existing talent, and help identify the additional competencies needed. Once this is done, HR will help the community to write the job post, think of the assessment process and criteria, and share best practices from both inside and outside the company. For example, it might be advising on new skills or talents that are needed to complement a group, such as data literacy or prompt engineering for artificial intelligence tools. Above all, HR will define the guardrails so that each community knows the rules of the game. For example, think of the 2 critical guardrails of a roundabout system. You must yield to those already in the roundabout, and everyone must drive in the same direction. Apart from these 2 rules or guardrails, drivers can make their own decisions. HR guardrails will need to reflect the culture, the brand, and legal and regulatory plans, of course. However, these guardrails need to give as much freedom and flexibility as possible rather than being a mechanism of control. So for those of you who need to change or transform your HR framework and practices, let the 3 Metaverse principles, decentralization, community, and co-creation, be your guide. But don't forget to start small. Not every team or community will be ready for this way of working. It will also be important that you regularly assess your HR framework and practices so that you can continuously learn and improve. Now, here are some ideas to help you and your teams get started. One of the biggest impacts the Industrial Revolution had on business and society was the demand for specialized skills, which put people into boxes. Maximizing your talent requires that you uncage talent and give them the opportunity to use their full range of skills, experiences, and talents, making them more engaged and your company more successful. It starts by having a framework to think about talent. The Industrial Revolution only looked at specialized skills. Eventually, this slightly evolved and some other competencies were sought. This is the T-shaped talent model. The vertical line represents the core skills you are looking for, and the horizontal line describes generalized competencies. If you're hiring a head of corporate communications, for example, you would list strong written and verbal communication skills, crisis management experience, and a bachelor's degree in communications as core requirements within the vertical column. Along the horizontal, you might ask for team leadership experience, ability to persuade the C-suite, and working knowledge of Adobe Photoshop. However, this type of model still puts people squarely within a particular specialization box, risking disengagement and turnover. Instead, embrace an M-shaped model. Like the T-shape, make a distinction between knowledge and experience on the vertical lines and generalize on the horizontal line. Taking our previous example, the first vertical column might be about leadership skills, the second about communication skills, and the third about proficiency with various tools. The horizontal line could include various interests, general skills and talents, and other competencies related to how the organization functions. Another way of doing this is simply by grouping and categorizing the essential skills, experience, and competencies within the vertical lines and the nice-to-haves within the horizontal line. In both cases, you will be able to identify and document transversal skills. Regardless of how you do it, why should you do it at all? For companies who want their organization to be fit for purpose in a digital age, then structures must be more flexible. You might still have departments or practice areas, but roles and responsibilities will change based on what is needed at the time. If these are more flexible, then you cannot hire or manage your talent simply by looking at specialization areas. You need to know the depth and breadth of talent within your company so you can deploy your talent where they are needed and know what to recruit. Related to this is having a strong diversity plan. In most cases, companies completely get diversity and inclusion wrong. And it is because they put people into boxes, an old habit from the Industrial Revolution. I'm a perfect example. I was born and raised in the United States, but my origins are mostly Spanish. In America, I'm considered a minority, yet my experiences are very different from other Hispanics in the US. My family came over from Spain before the Declaration of Independence was even signed. Naturally, I don't share many common experiences with first, second, or even third generation Americans from Central or South America. Yet most companies would expect that I do, simply based on my last name. Therefore, putting me into the Hispanic box of your diversity and inclusion strategy is worthless. This is why companies need to look at hiring a diversity of experiences, as these bring much richer insights and better prepares the company for thinking about how to create and nurture authentic communities. For example, if HR was putting together a project team to create an onboarding plan for expats, I could bring my experience moving from the United States to Europe to the team, providing an authentic perspective based on actual experience. But you can only know about the diversity of my experiences if you have an M-shaped talent model. In short, the M-shaped talent model and diversity hiring, or Talent MD, is about having a more human-centric approach rather than seeing people as numbers. To find and attract the right talent for your company, authenticity is everything. First, you must present your company as authentically as possible. Drop all the generic BS about being a company with a great culture or offering a competitive salary and package or high growth opportunities, blah, 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 blah. These statements mean nothing to a candidate, yet you will find at least one of these in almost every job ad. Instead, be specific. Great is a relative term, so don't call your culture great. Tell me about it. I will decide if it's great for me. This is the heart of the community principle. More and more candidates are looking for jobs where they can relate to the company they work at. They want to join a community where they feel welcome, are proud about their company, and they want to feel that they can make an impact. Therefore, culture and purpose are vital. Yet if these are generically drafted, then it will be hard to convince a candidate to join. You also have to look at it from two perspectives. What is the company like, and how is the team or practice area that the candidate will be joining? You know how different teams can be from each other, whether fixed or project-based. Some are great experiences, and others you just want to forget. Thus, describing how both the company and the team function is critical information to candidates. But don't fall into the trap of being aspirational or only talking about the positive things. Be honest, be authentic. For example, if you're looking for somebody with data science expertise to join a product team, but you don't have a well-defined data strategy or infrastructure, then make this part of the job post itself. Let the candidate know that they will have the opportunity to define this for the entire company rather than saying nothing. On the flip side, you need to understand the authentic self of the candidates. Despite the CV and cover letter being really inefficient and ineffective in helping companies discover their candidates, they are still used by virtually every company in the world to recruit. I know, old habits die hard. Instead, think outside of the box. You know how I feel about boxes. And develop ways to learn more about your candidates. Ask them to describe various experiences. Give them role play scenarios. Ask personal questions about their lives. There are a multitude of ways to do this, and there is no one-size-fits-all approach. By describing your authentic self and requiring it from your candidates, you will reduce the quantity, but significantly increase the quality. Don't forget, you might not be able to choose your family, but you can choose your community. So choose wisely. To conclude this episode, I want to touch on how technology is and will transform talent acquisition in the future. First, artificial intelligence will become a recruiter's best friend. There are already hundreds of companies that use AI to screen CVs and cover letters, but there are other platforms that will allow you to move beyond the traditional approach. Vervo, for example, launched an AI platform that allows recruiters to develop a smarter and more unbiased way of hiring. Via this platform, you can ask candidates a series of questions and give them various tasks, and then the platform will grade them based on criteria that you have defined. It is even equipped with machine learning, so you can teach the AI what is a good answer. However, the AI only does what it's told. While it can be great at removing some conscious and unconscious biases, such as gender, age, ethnicity, you can inadvertently create biases by making them part of the AI instructions. For example, I don't know any senior corporate communications practitioner that actually has a bachelor's degree in communications. Yet, if this is one of the screening instructions, you will exclude many high-quality candidates. Therefore, it is important to run samples to test the outcomes before you launch. Second, by using AI and natural language processing, companies can provide candidates with information about the company and answer most questions via chatbots. This is a great way to give candidates better insights into the community they might be a part of. Finally, you will see more and more examples of companies using virtual reality and augmented reality. Several companies have been using VR headsets to give candidates an idea of what the office is like. While many of these lack authenticity, the idea is a great way to let candidates experience the community they could be joining. VR and AR are also great ways to test a candidate's abilities. You can give them various scenarios to test their technical and non-technical skills, even interpersonal skills, in a virtual environment. This will help the team to understand a candidate's strengths and weaknesses before they start, and have a learning and development plan ready from day one. They can even use AR, especially for technical profiles and physical jobs, to help train them on better ways of doing things, which will greatly speed up the onboarding process. You should check out how the United States Air Force is using AR to train fighter pilots. For example, using an AR helmet, they project digitally generated combat training scenarios or practice high-risk maneuvers. Well, that's it for this episode. Join me next week when I'll be talking about the importance of psychological safety and growth mindset to succeed in a metaverse world. See you then.